Dozens of dismembered, unburied human body parts are found strewn around a cemetery.
Some fingers, some leg bones, foot bones.
And investigators would discover it's the horrific handiwork of a maniac with an ice pick at the ready.
And rammed it into his right eye just to be sure that he was dead.
A hacksaw in the garage.
To dismember him.
And something unthinkable cooking in the kitchen.
His head was in a pot on the stove, and his arm or leg was in the oven.
Nobody in the quiet Central Florida community of Deltona could ever have imagined they'd have a murderous butcher living in their midst.
And it's the stuff of nightmares.
And the atrocities this killer committed behind closed doors would even horrify hardened veteran lawmen.
It's one of the most brutal, gruesome cases that I've seen.
The grim details begin to come to light after a 36-year-old limousine driver named James Sheaffer goes missing.
I think most people would describe James as an affable, fun-loving guy.
Hard worker, dedicated to his family.
And a good provider for Candy Medina, his girlfriend of 17 years, and their 3 children.
They had a loving relationship as far as we could tell. It was a normal husband-wife relationship, except for the fact they had never been married.
James was also well-liked by others who knew him, including his boss, Peter Harrington.
You never saw a bad side to him. He was a really nice person.
Harrington was the last one to see James before he disappeared after just finishing a late-night driving shift.
He pretty much came and got paid, and he left.
Harrington remembers James getting into a car with an unidentified driver.
That was the last I ever seen him.
And when nobody else sees or hears from him either, James is listed as a missing person.
He absolutely disappeared into thin air. We had no trace of him anywhere.
John Brady, a retired detective who worked the case, says cops immediately suspected foul play.
We looked into all the leads. We looked into the limousine company and his associates there as potential suspects in his disappearance.
Detectives would also question girlfriend Candy, who tells them James would never have willingly abandoned her or their kids.
She was certain that Mr. Sheaffer just wouldn't go disappear. So she was pretty adamant that his disappearance was something more suspicious than just him going off on his own.
But Candy throws investigators a curveball when she says she actually heard from James the day after he supposedly disappeared.
His girlfriend told investigators that she had received a text from him that said he had to hide out from somebody, but that he was okay.
And Angela Stolt, one of the friends and neighbors interviewed by police, says a frightened James had also come to her home asking for money after being reported missing.
So when he comes to your house, you tell him that we've been there. He knows we've been there.
And I begged him to go see you, and
What did he say?
he said that people were looking for him.
Now, detectives learn money might be at the heart of his mysterious disappearance.
James is not very good with money, okay? So James gets himself into debt.
And they suspect he may have gotten into hot water with an angry creditor.
We found some text messages in his phone that suggested maybe people associated with his gambling were after him.
They apparently weren't the only ones.
We found some more messages that he owed people money for various reasons.
Neighbor Angela tells detectives she'd been trying to help James manage his finances.
I tried to get his financial situation straightened out.
But detectives are surprised to learn Angela is actually listed as a payee and guarantor on a Social Security account James held.
It was unusual to have the neighbor be the payee on the Social Security account.
Angela says she was doing it out of friendship and didn't profit.
I didn't want to do it, but I just wanted to help him, you know? I've always just wanted to help him.
But investigators delve a little deeper into the dynamics between James and the single mother of 2 who lived directly across the street from him.
It was a strange relationship.
And not strictly business.
They also had a relationship such that he would be comfortable going over late in the evening, sometimes in the middle of the night, having drinks with her.
Detectives ask Angela if they'd been having an affair.
Are you and Jimmy romantically involved? Does he ever try to date you?
No. He's given me a few massages.
Angela admits they'd also had other close encounters.
We had jogging for around a couple times, but it wasn't.
Just hook up. Just hook up. Anything
We
recent?
weren't in love or nothing,
You're not in love with him?
But there's something else that piques the interest of detectives. The surprising indifference of girlfriend Candy to James's relationship with the 42-year-old Angela.
No, she wasn't alarmed, and it was a little disconcerting to us because it was an unusual arrangement.
Up next, is Candy really as sweet as she seems?
I've seen her chasing down the street with a baseball bat. She busted the windshield in his limo.
And what's cooking in the kitchen?
I do recall there being a foot in there, an ankle bone in the pot that was thrown in the woods there at the cemetery.
He said that his boss made his mechanic put a blade to his throat.